And if you want to remain standing, you can also help us with our call and response song, One Creator. And if you feel like sitting, that's fine too.
It doesn't really matter what color you are, the tree and the stream, the brightest star.
We all come from one Creator. We all come from one Creator. It doesn't really matter to what religion you belong, how short your hair is, or even how long. We all come from one Creator. We all come from one Creator. It doesn't even matter how you call God's name, Goddess, Jehovah, Satnam, it's all the same. We all come from one Creator. We all come from one Creator. We all come from one Creator. We all come from one Creator.
It doesn't matter if you love me or if you hate me, that's fine. God's love is infinite, it surrounds us all the time.
We all come from one Creator, divine Creator. We all come from one Creator. We all come from one Creator. Ekonkar Satnam Siri Wahe Guru. We thank you, Lord, for bringing us here to be with you. We all come from one Creator. We all come from one Creator. We all come from one Divine Father, Holy Mother. It doesn't even matter how you call His name, Allah, Jehovah, Satnam, it's all the same. Creator, we all come from one Creator. We all come from one Creator. We all come from one Creator.
Yes, you may be seated. Thank you, music team.
Oops-a-daisy.
And I'm grateful for that shriek to wake us all up. Get our blood pumping a little bit too. I don't know who planned it, but it was brilliant. Welcome, one and all. Good morning. Good morning. So good to be with you. The sun's not shining today. It's a little dreary, but it is in the middle of November after all, and we celebrate all the goodness of God in any way, shape, or form that it comes to us. And I want to take this opportunity to remind you to please silence your cell phones so that we can get through the service without any interruptions. And I want to ask at this time, do we have any first-time visitors? Anybody with us for the first time? Okay. So I would like at this point to welcome our daily word reader, which is Bobby. Would you please come forward and share with us this prayer?
Every once in a while, we need a little boost.
Yeah.
Welcome, everyone. I'm glad you joined us today, and wherever you are on your spiritual journey, we are so glad you chose to be here. I will be your prayer chaplain along with Marie. We will be here after the service and a little bit before the annual meeting. So should anyone need prayer support, we are here to hold sacred space with you. And we also like to hear your prayers of joy and congratulations. So no one need leave here with a heavy heart. So we will be here for you after the service. And now I just ask that you relax as I bring you the daily word. Sunday, November 14th. Prosperity fills my life. Current flowing through my home's wiring provides light, but first I must flip the switch to turn it on. Divine substance, the building block of creation, is the source from which my prosperity grows. But first, I must claim it in consciousness to live a prosperous life. The divine idea of prosperity is unlimited, more than sufficient to meet every need. I know true prosperity when I live from this truth. Giving freely and generously keeps prosperity at the forefront of my consciousness. I know the more I give, the more of myself I place into circulation, the more I will experience. As I give of myself, I increase the flow of prosperity in my life and in the world. And from Mark 4:24, and he said to them, pay attention to what you hear. The measure you give will be the measure you get, and still more will be given to you. Prosperity fills my life.
Thank you, Bobby. And now I invite you to please join me in praying our Spirit's unfolding vision prayer. Guided by divine wisdom, inspired by divine imagination, centered in divine love, and knowing that God is our source, we boldly move forth in faith as we allow Spirit's expanding vision to unfold in our lives, the life of the spiritual community, and our world. Thank you, God. Amen. And now, if you are willing and able, I invite you to again return to your feet and please join in singing and praying the Lord's Prayer.
Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from
And now for a special time in our service, a time I always enjoy, I would like to invite our children to please come forward along with your sponsors so that we may bless you. Again, please join me. We love you, we bless you, we appreciate you, and we behold the Christ in you and know that you are empowered to do great things.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. You're more than welcome to join in on this beautiful song with us that we've been doing throughout the Thanksgiving season. And you can remain seated for this. It's fine. Thank you for this day, Spirit. Thank you for this day. Thank you for this day, Spirit. Thank you for this day. This healing, this healing, this healing day. This healing, this healing, this healing day. Thank you for this day, Spirit. Thank you for this day. Thank you for this day, Spirit. Thank you for this day. This is beautiful, this is beautiful, this is beautiful day. This is beautiful, this is beautiful, this is beautiful day. Thank you for this day. Thank you for this day. This is prosperous, this is prosperous, this is prosperous day. Thank you for this 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 day. Thank you for today, Spirit. Thank you for today. Thank you for today, Spirit. Thank you for today. This is healing, this is healing, this is healing day. This is healing, this is healing, this is healing, this is healing day. This is healing, this is healing, this is healing day.
Thank you for this music team, Lord. Thank you for this. I really appreciate what you guys are doing every single week and turning out and making such a difference to our service. It's a tremendous gift, and we are grateful that you are sharing it with us. So there was this king, and this king was really fed up with all of the namsy-pamsy treatment that he had been given his entire life. He couldn't ever do anything on his own. He had somebody making his breakfast. He had somebody tasting his food first just to make sure he wasn't getting poisoned. And one day a squire walks into his chambers with a beautiful set of designer clothing, a gorgeous blazer, a nice crisp shirt, and beautiful tailored, tapered pants. And when the king saw this, he lost it. And he started screaming at the squire. I am sick and tired of this all. I'm perfectly capable of changing my own clothes. Get out of here. Well, he was a little hurt, obviously, the squire. So as he was leaving, he just took a sigh and said, fine, suit yourself. Well, I'm sorry, but this is on topic today, okay? A good many years ago, when I was a strapping young man, I took a road trip with a couple of friends, and we came upon the town of Williamsburg, Virginia. And if you have ever been there, you know what a unique experience this is. And for those of you who have never been there, Williamsburg, Virginia is kind of a reconstructed town attempting to put forward a very accurate picture, a good depiction of what life was like in the colonies in the late 1600s and the early 1700s. And they paid attention to every detail, the nature of the buildings, and they had a blacksmith, and they had a gun factory, and they had the general store, and all of the employees were clad in the clothing that people wore way back in the day. And we were blessed because we got a wonderful guide who took us through and showed us everything in really good detail. It was truly remarkable. And we were twice blessed because after the tour was over, she was kind enough to sit down with us and talk not just about what we had seen, but some of the attitudes, the consciousness of those early colonists in what is now our great country of the United States. And she shared that most of what was built and most of what came to be in those early days was a result of second sons. I had no clue what she was talking about. And she went on to explain that so many people who were the second born or the third born in England got nothing in terms of inheritance or power or anything else like that. They were pretty much on their own. And so a lot of them did a very daring move, and they sailed across the ocean and landed here in this country. And they began to build and to put a life together. And when I thought about this, that makes a lot of sense. It really does. And if you want to get some notion about what I'm talking about, just watch an episode or two of Downton Abbey. And I'm sure many of you have done this. Because it shows very specifically how the firstborns get everything. And the secondborns, the thirdborns, not so much. They wouldn't go hungry, okay? But they had no status, no power. They were just kind of tag-alongs. So even today, with Prince Harry, who no longer is Prince Harry because he voluntarily relinquished the title, he's actually sixth in line for the throne of England. Because before him remained his father and his older brother, Prince William, and all three of Prince William's children. And so this is something that wasn't just a custom. This is something that was actually the law. That families, even who maybe wanted to circumvent and share a little bit more of this, really were not at liberty to do so. Well, in the United States, we don't have a monarchy, but there's some carryover here. Because I am maintaining that in most family situations, firstborns are privileged. And if you want to know what I'm talking about, Remember back in the days when we actually had to go to Walgreens or something and buy film for our cameras and take pictures? Well, if you go through some of those old archives that are still around, for every picture you find of a second-born or a third-born, you're going to find 4 or 5 pictures of the firstborn. Okay? And you remember those baby books, our baby's first year? Okay, where parents meticulously wrote down, took pictures, and jotted everything about that firstborn child. The first smile, the first time that baby rolled over, the first time that baby crawled, the first steps that baby took, the first word that baby pronounced. Second-born, not so much. Second-borns were really fortunate if they got a single page in that book filled out, good intentions of the parents, notwithstanding. And so I'm talking about this today because I want to get back to those colonists in a bit. And I want to tie them together with the title of our talk today, which is To Err is Human, and that's spelled H-E-I-R, because it's absolutely fitting for the message that I want to try to deliver to you today. But before I do that, I want to go into some depth about a really significant Bible story about 2 characters found in the book of Genesis. And these are the stories of Esau and Jacob. And a lot of people don't realize that Esau and Jacob actually were twins. And if you were going into Genesis to read the text about them, you will discover that their mother Rebekah really didn't have such an easy pregnancy. Because the story tells us in Genesis that while these two sons, these two boys, were still in the womb, they were having at each other. Okay, and they were fighting within the womb. And I'm sure any of you that have ever been blessed to carry a child has to shudder at the thought of that happening within your own body. Okay, but it did. Anyway, Esau was the firstborn. And he came out, and he was a sturdy child, strong, and had initially coming out of the womb a very hairy body. And so he was given the name Esau, which means finisher, or he who gets it done. He would be followed by his brother Jacob. In contrast, Jacob really looked entirely different. He had a nice, beautiful, smooth, soft body. And he also had something else about his birth that was significant. He came out of the womb with his hand grasping the heel of his brother Esau. And so Jacob was given the name Jacob, which meant two things. It had two meanings. One was obvious, it meant heel grabber. And the other one was supplanter. Well, supplanter is really not a nice term. A supplanter is somebody who is sly, sneaky, conniving, conspiring. And Jacob, if you read the story, absolutely was all of that. So one day he swindles his brother Esau, who comes in from the fields all hot and sweaty from working and hunting and all that kind of stuff, starving, and he smells whatever it was that Jacob had prepared, and he asks for some, and Jacob says, "No problem. You give me your firstborn rights, and I'll give you a bowl of this." And so Esau says, "Yeah, well, whatever," and he does it. And a little later on in the story, Jacob, who happened to be his mother's favorite, by the way, conspires with his mother to steal away the blessing from the father Isaac. Now, Isaac was blind at that point, and so to disguise Jacob, his mother puts on his head and covers his arms with skins from goats. And so he goes to his father and he asks for his father's blessing. And his father feels his arms because he says the voice is like Jacob's, but this got to be Esau. And so he confers upon Esau this blessing. Well, things didn't work out all that well for Jacob, because when his brother Esau comes home and he discovers what has happened, he is really upset and vows to kill his brother Jacob. So Jacob has to abandon his home and impose upon himself a long period of self-exile. So I want to pause at this point to share it with you. I really can relate to the story a little bit because I had a brother, Dennis, 5 years older than I. And Dennis had first dibs on absolutely everything. And I got the hand-me-downs that were stored for years because there was such a significant difference in our age. And I walked around in shoes that didn't fit me and shirts that were tattered and the whole routine, okay? And I really, really, really loved my brother. But I also spent a fair amount of time scheming, trying to figure out little ways to turn this a little bit in my favor. Dennis was bigger than I was. Dennis was stronger than I was. But he absolutely enjoyed privileges that I never was able to enjoy. I'm going to come back to my brother a little bit later in this talk. But I want to get back to Jacob and this blessing thing, because you have to understand that just like was this whole cultural thing in England about, lines of priority and who gets what, this blessing was an incredibly significant ritual that was taking place. That, coupled with the rights of being the firstborn, pretty much set that firstborn child up for life, economically, financially, in terms of status, in terms of power and decision-making and what was going on with the family and the whole routine. And again, the second sons really got squat. But again, Jacob was trying to become or pretend to be something that he wasn't. And as much as he thought that he wanted it, once he got it, he came to realize that's not really, really what he had wanted, because instead of getting all of that status and that wealth and that power, he had to self-exile for a long time. Metaphysically, we are both Esau and we are both Jacob. We all have that gruffness about us, that physical nature that's represented by Esau, and sometimes maybe spend a lot of time trying to smooth over some of those rough edges and make ourselves be a little bit more like Jacob. And we all very definitely have a significant part of Jacob within each and every one of us. We all, at some time or another, wanted to be somebody else. We wanted to be like somebody else or something else. In 2021, on a global basis, we will have spent over $500 billion on cosmetics. That doesn't count plastic surgery or anything else that we try to do to enhance ourselves, to make us into something other than who and what we truly are at our base, at our core. And there's this constant struggle that we are going on in our lives as we're trying to make sense of the hurt and the pain and the circumstances that come out with us. And we always have this envious side to us. You know, before the service today, I went up to the balcony there, and that show-off Warren is showing me his new socks. Okay, I had sock envy. Okay, you know, it just instinctively clicked in. And what difference does it make? What difference does it make? I spent a good portion of my life as a kid trying to latch on to my brother's heel. My brother was a stud, okay? He was big, he was strong, he was one of the single best softball players, not just in the city of Chicago, but known as such in the state of Illinois, okay? And he was just called Corpin. And sometimes then I was referred to as Little Corpin. And you know what? I loved it. Because that meant I was getting in on part of his royalty. We all spend a good deal of our time aspiring to things, assuming that they're going to be better for us. And when we finally get there, we realize, it's because we've left something behind. We've left, you know, that Christ light that is burning in our hearts out of the equation, and we go into, well, world standards. What can I say? Anytime that we spend trying to grab onto the heel of somebody else is a waste. Anytime that we spend a lot of time trying to be something or be somebody that we're really not, only serves to distract us from why we are here and what it is that we are called to do. And when I say what we are called to do, I'm telling you that this is about your divine contract, your spiritual power, your spiritual value. Because nobody on the planet that ever was or is now can express that inner divine Christ essence as uniquely as you can. Think about that. Out of billions of people, all struggling to do the same thing, all struggling to find that balance between having to live in a physical, harsh, cold world sometimes, and that loving, soft, spiritual basis, which is grounded in love. And it doesn't make any difference. Firstborn, secondborn, 10th child out of 11. You are here because you are a significant cause in the ongoing spiritual sacred process of creation. And your bloom is your bloom. And anytime that you're trying to make your bloom or your manifestation or of your expression a carbon copy of somebody else, you're wasting your time. When I think back about me trying to be what my brother was, I shake my head. This is really silly. I could never be my brother. It doesn't mean that he didn't have qualities that I should emulate or anything like that, but I could never be him. You know, I did not have the athleticism that he did. I spent a lot of years pretending that I did, and I actually tried to grab onto his heel one point because he was playing with a really upper quality men's softball team, and I said, come on, you could get me on that team. I'm as good as so-and-so that's playing on your team. And my brother just looked at me and he laughed. If I had seen really what I was asking, I probably would have laughed at myself. The fact that I'm not my brother doesn't diminish me. The fact that he was taller, had more hair, that one really kind of gets to me, to tell you the truth. Or that he was this tremendous athlete, the respect that he had in the neighborhood. I have to be my own unique expression. I have to find out what way can I really most significantly manifest who or what I am at my core. So let's go all the way back to those colonists, those second sons that came over across the Atlantic and lived and dwelt and built things and founded things in what is now the United States. And as I think about this and the whole notion of being second sons, it really makes sense that they dared to cross the ocean to carve out a niche for themselves. And I really believe in so doing, they discovered their self-worth, which was not dependent upon what order that they were born into a family. And I believe that it was in that discovery of that self-worth that prompted something as incredibly profound as all men are created equal. That's not something that just dropped out of the sky. That's something that came out of a revolution. And yeah, you know, fighting the Revolutionary War, that must have been real hell. But I got to believe it pales in comparison to fighting the internal war, that they were something more than what their homes, their families, their society, their culture, the British law told them that they were. And by the way, they didn't get it all right. When they said all men are created equal, they didn't really mean all men. They meant all white men. Okay? And they did mean all men, because it didn't include women at the time. And so we could look back now and be critical of that, but it doesn't detract from the remarkable consciousness that they were something more than what the world told them they had to be. It's really a pretty powerful concept when you think about it. By the way, they had a similar experience with Australia. Somebody in Britain had a great idea. Hey, let's take all of our criminals, our murderers, our thieves, you know, we'll just ship them off to Australia. And so Australia really was born as a penal colony. But somehow they worked through the consciousness that they were more than the categories that had been allotted to them. They worked out more than those categories that they had been slotted into, that they were more than the boxes in which they were being placed. And somehow, I'm not familiar with the politics of the country, but I know that Australia today is a really pretty strong democracy. So, an interesting question popped up to me when I was trying to put this talk together in my head before I wrote out a single word. I shared this question with Mary, who was kind enough to give me some feedback. And my question is, are we second sons and daughters to our way shower Jesus? I mean, is Jesus the firstborn and we're, the second and third born and all of that kind of stuff? And I'm not going to answer that question for you today. I'm going to leave you to ponder it. At least I'm not going to answer it directly. But I will tell you this, though. Regardless of how you hold in your head and hearts this person of Jesus in your lives, whatever significance you may or may not attach to him, we are not supposed to be grabbing onto his heel. Our way shower Jesus was an incredibly unique demonstration, manifestation of the Christ essence. We are not born to be clones. Again, each and every one of us, each and every one of you, we, us, we are called to be very unique expressions of divine mind. And you know the really cool thing about it? It's not prescripted. I mean, you get to choose. You could be a dentist, a doctor, a lawyer. You could collect garbage. It doesn't make any difference. The only criterion involved is that whatever it is that you are doing, you are not pretending. But you are really about your real self. You are really about, what is going on in your heart internally. I love to watch kids play. They play and their imagination takes over, okay? You be the doctor, I'll be the nurse, okay? And and it's like impromptu. They just go with it and they run with it. And they're trying to figure it out. They're trying to sort out, that Esau and that Jacob that resides in each and every one of us. And it's really a healthy exercise as long as sometimes you understand, okay, we learned a lot when we were playing this game, but now it's time to make it real. Now it's time to pick and choose something. And I'm not just talking about whatever profession or occupation that you might go into. I'm talking about everything that you do every day. I'm talking about having an awareness and a consciousness of how you're going to relate to the people that you live with. How are you going to relate and engage with the people that you meet, at the store on some casual basis? Because the work of creation does not take pauses. It does not take a breath. And that's just the beauty, the magic of this gift of life that we share and that we share with all other life. I'm not talking about getting rid of our humanity. I'm talking about taking our humanity and elevating it and raising it up. That whole Esau-Jacob thing has a temporarily really good ending, a happy ending. After 20-some years of being in exile, Jacob says, it's time for me to go home. It's time for me to take a chance. Maybe my brother is going to kill me when I get there, but this is something that I do. And so he goes home, and they have a loving reunion. Esau forgives his brother, and everything is wildly beautiful. That was not the end of Jacob's struggles. You know, at some points in his life, he's called upon to wrestle with an angel all night long in order to discover and come to the realization of, the truth of who and what he really was. And this guy who started out as a conniver, as a flim-flam man, ends up being picked, chosen by God to lead the Israelite nation. So anybody who's sitting here thinking, yeah, I don't really have what it takes, that's not me. I'm too short, I'm too tall, I'm too bald, I'm too slow. It's time to get rid of the twos. To err is human. You know, we're familiar with the whole thing about to err is human, to forgive is divine. Well, to err, H-E-I-R, is human. And to love is what elevates that human to a consciousness of unlimited possibilities, to a consciousness of unlimited joys, to a consciousness, yes, of incredible responsibility. We're knocking on the door of the Christmas season. Advent is just 2 weeks from today, and it's a time where we go into a consciousness of the incredible significance of a birth. And it is. I really think that, the coming of our way shower to this planet, just rapidly moved the dial and elevated all of us. But there is no single birth that is not sacred. And so I just leave you with this thought, really inviting you to pray over this. Is what you are, is what you do, really consistent deep down inside? Does it really line up with the types of manifestations that were made by our way shower, or the type of manifestation that ultimately came out in the person of Jacob? Because the truth is, we are blessed well beyond any paternal blessing, well beyond any royalty that might be bestowed upon us or that we might ever be born into. And all we got to do is step forward and say yes. I invite you now at this time, let's take it to prayer and to meditation.
I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed.
And so I invite you now just to sit back in your seats, relax. Feel the firmness of the ground beneath your feet. Dare to trust that we are building a safe place so that we can move forward and build a sacred space. I invite you to close your eyes, keep them closed. I invite you to take a nice deep breath. And as you inhale, echo the words of the song, I am so blessed. This is a time for us to come forward. This is a time for us to accept that blessing, to acknowledge it. This is a time for us to dare to believe it. So take another breath and go deeper. Allow yourself to fall into the rhythm of your breaths, each one being an affirmation, a blessing from God, from Spirit. Let it speak to you of your uniqueness. Let it speak to you of your preciousness. Let it speak to you about your capability to do incredible things. Things like love, forgive, smile, laugh, and yes, even your capability to shed tears, to cry. I am so blessed. As we go still deeper and listen even harder for guidance, for direction, how we might align ourselves. We keep praying that affirmation again and again. I truly am blessed. And I have been blessed my entire life with every breath that I have taken. Every breath is a spoken word of I love you and care for you by God, by Spirit. And so I invite you now just to dwell in that space. and listen in the silence to how incredibly blessed you are. And now softly, gently, but firmly, I invite you to return your awareness, your consciousness to this room. I am, you are, we are so blessed. And in that knowing and that information, we also acknowledge we have work to do. And so we just carry that attitude, that mindfulness with us throughout the remainder of the service, throughout the remainder of this wonderful fall day, throughout the remainder of the week. And with a pride that is based in true humility, we acknowledge who and what we are at our essence, at our core. So much more powerful than anything we could ever pretend to be. We come home, back to what is real. I am so blessed, and so it is. Amen.
The winter is sure. Here in the warmth we have all that we need. We have been blessed by the Maker indeed.
Give thanks to the Lord of the universe.
Praise the Creator, give thanks to the Lord of the universe. Daylight flows, darkness grows, we are secure in the light of the universe.
Our friends are around us, our family is near. Our table is laden, our bounty is clear.
God gives us spirit and God gives us food. Now let us give God our full gratitude.
Praise the Creator, give thanks to the Lord of the universe.
I really want to thank you guys so much. And you're all magnificent, but I'm just impressed by the two men who stretched today. Seriously, that's kudos. Wish I could do that. Now it's time for our love offering, a time where we take a physical manifestation of the giving of ourselves in a bit of a ritual. And we don't do a collection because of COVID, but there's a collection basket on your way out, and we invite you to put your gifts there, your dollars, your cents. They really make a difference for keeping our church going. But more than that, they symbolize the giving, the sharing of who you are, your talents, and the sharing of your heart. So thank you. And please join now in praying our affirmations. God is my instant, constant, abundant source of supply, and divine love flowing through us blesses and multiplies all the good that we are, we have, we give, and we receive. Announcements, very important. After the service, we'll take a brief adjournment, make a pit stop. If somebody wants to pray, there will be enough time to pray with our prayer chaplains. Please do take advantage of that ministry. And then let's come back and reconvene for our annual meeting. It is very, very important. Your presence, your participation, your input is a gift that is of value to the rest of us. Also want to call your attention to the upcoming Thanksgiving service. That's on Thanksgiving Eve on November 24th at 7 p.m. And join us for a time of expressing gratitude, a time to show from our hearts appreciation for our many gifts received, and our time to open up our hearts to even greater good. There'll be an opportunity to reflect, and we have scheduled a very important soloist, correct?
Correct.
A tenor?
Tenor.
A
Yes.
tenor. So you really put the cooking on hold for an hour. You know, come out and join us, please, on that evening. All of the other announcements can be found in your bulletin. Men's group on Tuesday, the Healing and Wholeness service scheduled for December 3rd, and so forth. And I'm proud of you guys. Last week, you cleaned all of the tags off of the tree for the Secret Santa. And so we managed to put some more tags up. So please do not be bashful. You have an opportunity to bless yourselves by blessing children. Okay? And so with that, I would invite you to stand, turn and face one another in some way, shape, or form and confer our congregational blessing. We love you, we bless you, we appreciate you, we behold the Christ in you, and know that you are empowered to do great things. And join me now in praying our prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us, the love of God enfolds us, and the power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is.
All is well.
And let's sing out to our peace song.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God as creator
He turned my guitar on. Did you hear that?